It's Tuesday, so you know what that means. We've got power rankings here for you. Let's talk about who rose, who fell, and all that in between. But more important than that, should we already be talking about utilizing the transfer portal a little better next season? Clemson, looking at you.
You are Locked On ACC, your daily podcast on the Atlantic Coast Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to today's edition of Locked On ACC. I'm your host, Candace Cooper, joined by Kenton Gibbs of Locked On Wolfpack. Each and every day, you can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. Make sure you download, subscribe to the pod, and make sure that you click that like button when you listen to the show. You let us know how much you've enjoyed it. And we have a couple thousand more subscribers would always do the trick. Kenton, how are you feeling on this great Tuesday? I don't know if he's talking, but nobody can hear him.
I said I'm feeling good. I'm ready to get into it. My mute button on my microphone betrays me often, as we have seen on this show in the past, and that's all right. That's all right because we're here and we're going to talk some power rankings because some teams have shown improved and made us eat a little crow. Some teams, you're exactly who we thought you were. Not looking at any states in particular, Virginia.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that today, and I'm not sure if we should start with the bottom or the top or how you think it's best served. Like, what do you think we should give the people, bottom or the top?
I mean, either way you want to do it is all right with me, because, there's a lot of jokes to be made here, but I'm trying to be an adult, so I'll start with the teams who are highest ranked on the list and not the teams that are lowest ranked.
Never change, Kenton Gibbs. Let's start with the teams at the bottom just for that reason. The ACC is 26-10 in non-conference games so far this football season, with half of those losses coming from UVA and Virginia Tech. The league is 8-5 against the SEC and Big Ten, with 4 of the 5 losses coming from Virginia and Virginia Tech. Shout out to the homie Mike Barber at RTD_Mike Barber. He dropped this nugget for us today. It's very fitting as we talk through our power rankings of why we have our teams where we have them.
Get them boys up out of here. Get them boys up out of here. So since we're starting from teams who are at the bottom, can we put up the graphic, please, to show where all of our teams are ranked? At the dead bottom is Virginia, slightly ahead of them, ever so slightly. Not a large margin at all, is Virginia Tech.
Yes. Okay. A sliver, if you will.
A sliver, a shade, if you will. Look, twin them, as the players in Georgia Tech and in Atlanta would say, y'all twin them right now. That's what's going on because you two are holding the whole league down, making us look crazy out here.
Crusty, yeah.
And listen, I think that I'm not sure if Tony Elliott has his quarterback of the future because I'm not sure how long he's going to be there. But Virginia may have their quarterback of the future in Anthony Colandrea because the boy can do it. He can go. He's young. He's making young mistakes, but he can go. That defense is actually looking stout. The problem is that they get out to early leads when the script is rolling, and then all of a sudden when they got to go off script, they lose their minds. They can't figure it out.
They get tired.
But
if you have so many 3-and-outs, you get tired. You got so much gas to give, and you already are lacking. I don't want to say lacking talent, but you just don't have the equipment to sustain that.
2 straight games of 14-point leads. Two of them, back to back, blew both leads. At least you kept James Madison close.
Yeah,
it's embarrassing.
Yeah,
it's embarrassing.
Why'd you take my graphic away? But I wasn't ready for that. But it's fine. It's fine. You run the show. No, it's fine. You run the show.
No, I don't run the show. The fact of the matter is simple. It's embarrassing. I needed the people to see my face because hearing my voice and telling you it's embarrassing is not enough. You need to see my face. And Virginia Tech, don't think you're going to get away from this work. Don't think you safe. Don't you dare think you're safe, Virginia Tech. What under God's green earth is going on up in Blacksburg? What are they doing? What are they doing?
Let's talk about drones, because apparently we don't watch Virginia Tech football enough, and we need to make sure that we mention the fact that Grant Wells did not play on Saturday. Everyone wants to make sure that we know that.
Absolutely.
But like I said, you could have drones, you could have Wells, you could have fairy tales. If you ain't getting it done on the field, all that matters is that L that you took to Rutgers, no less.
You know what I think is so interesting? So they replaced Grant Wells, okay, because the offense under Grant Wells wasn't performing to the expectation. Hey,
he's got hurt.
I get it. No, I'm saying Grant Wells, the offense wasn't performing to expectation. Grant Wells gets hurt. Okay, hey, I get it. I'm right there with you. I feel it. I'm there. Okay, cool. That still doesn't solve your problems. It still doesn't solve your problems, friends. I'm sorry to tell you, it's still not there. But
I don't think that people had the highest of expectations for this team. They certainly thought they would be in a better position than they are right now.
I wholeheartedly feel you. And at the end of the day, this team, they need to figure out a lot. They need to figure out a lot, because even if you were to say, well, hey, it's only because Grant went down that this team looks the way that they look, and they were doing well in the Purdue game before Grant got hurt. And, last week you're playing without your starting QB, so you got to kind of live with what you got. Sure. I'll give you that. What under God's green earth was Grant Wells supposed to do to stop Kyle Manegi? That's a running back from Rutgers, if you don't know. What was he going to do? Somebody please tell me. Somebody please. Maybe I'm pronouncing that wrong. Maybe it's Kyle Manegi. I'm sorry. Either way it goes, what was he supposed to do to stop him? Please.
That's a hell of an alternative name, but sure.
I don't know. It's Monogai. I don't know how to pronounce it. I don't know. You
got it. The point of the matter is Virginia Tech didn't show up.
What was he supposed to do? The reality is this team is constantly picking the side of the ball where they're like, we'll take the day off. We'll see you next Saturday. And unfortunately, y'all not that talented. You're not that talented. Florida State's defense took a day off on Saturday a little bit. They took a little bit of a day off. They said, we don't really feel like it today. And they were all right.
So Virginia currently sits at the bottom, Virginia Tech right above. The next team that sits above them that could have been moved up mightily had they got the W is Boston College.
Oh, yeah. And I talked about Calandria a lot in the terms of like, hey, that's a star in the making. Well, Calandria can still transfer out and not have to sit out a year. So if I'm Virginia fans, I'm a little concerned. You know who can't transfer out because he's already transferred in without having to sit a year? My man Castellanos. That boy has to be there. Boston College, congratulations. Even after Hafley leaves, you probably got your quarterback for the next few years. Or not leaves, after y'all get rid of him. You'll probably have your quarterback for the next few years here.
He has to stick beside it, for sure.
Castellanos can do it. He did everything.
He did everything, Kenton, but wait, he did a little too much at times.
But that's the problem with making one player do everything. That's the problem. Whenever you make one player do everything, especially a true sophomore, he's going to do some things that make you scratch your head and say, why are you doing that? Sure. Because in his mind, he's got to press and be perfect because nobody else in that offense is pissing a drop. They're not giving you nothing. There are multiple guys who are complete and utter no-shows on that offense. So, long story short, I'm not looking at him that upset. And that's just me being honest. I'm not looking at Thomas Castellanos and saying, hey, man, I'm worried about you, brother. I don't know why you keep making these bad decisions to hold on to the ball and think you're going to scramble around for forever. Because in the words of, I believe what was it, Barry White? He's their first, their last, their everything. So that's just what it is. But with that being said, again, he does need to learn and make better decisions in terms of, hey, this play is dead. Let me throw the ball away. Let's go ahead and go forth from there. Because, again, the offense outside of him, Kai Robichaud did nothing. Cameron Barfield, nothing. So,
okay.
I'm just asking. I'm just saying.
Okay, you're not asking questions.
I'm sorry. I'm not asking questions. I'm making a statement in that what else can we expect from a true sophomore when he has to be the team's leading rusher and passer by a mile because nobody else want to show up?
Very well. Pitt Definitely is the next team on this list. Didn't expect Pitt to fall this low, but Houston, we have a huge problem when it comes to Field Kovic. We're going to talk about why we think that he and the Pitt Panthers are certainly in trouble when it comes to all of these things. But first, I want to remind you guys that do you ever find yourself just needing to go to sleep or need a sense of trying to relax and your mind is always racing? It turns out one great way to make your racing thoughts go away is to talk through them. Therapy gives you a place to do just that so you can get out of your negative thought cycles and find some real mental and emotional peace. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited for your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire and get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Get a break from your thoughts with BetterHelp. Go to betterhelp.com/lockedoncollege today to get 10% off your first month. So we're talking through our power rankings, and Pitt is this latest team that finds itself towards the bottom, and reasons being is because how in the world do you find a solution for a quarterback that can't give you much from the arm strength, from the scramble, from the in pocket, from the shotgun? What in the world? What in the world we got going on? And Narduzzi's doubling down, not trying to bail on him, but at the same time, he's trying to make more situational things happen in practice to give your quarterback some experience. And at this point, ain't Phil about 45? Shouldn't he know how to do these things by now? Kenny Pickett is not walking through that door.
In the words of the wife of a former ACC great quarterback, if that boy don't love you by now, he will never, ever, ever, ever love you, girl. Pat Narduzzi, if Phil Kovic ain't figured it out and played well by now, he's never gonna do it. I'm sorry to tell you, Patrick, Mr. Narduzzi, whatever you prefer to be called, he's not the guy.
Keaton Slovis looking better and better.
Keaton Slovis just upset Arkansas this last week at BYU. It's a shame. It's a shame how bad. Let me not say bad, because that's disrespectful to the word bad. Atrocious Kenny Pickett is looking.
But the worst part of it all is the fact that Narduzzi is saying he basically covers 80% of the team's entire, playbook, and then he leaves the 20%, I guess, to the offense. Or he entrusts, his offensive coordinator and his offensive guys to make those decisions. He's all about defense, which is we know that. We know that about him. We understand Narduzzi is a defensive guy. However, that ain't your problem. So are you trying to make your coordinator the heavy for when he gets let go, or what is it really going on here?
If I was Pat Narduzzi, I would tell Phil Kovic, hey, brother, I know you're native to the area. We tried to make it a homecoming story for your 6th year and work it out. Here's a Pitt football ball cap. Here's a Pitt football clipboard. Now, what I need you to do is hold that clipboard, check off the plays that work, scratch out the plays that don't. Okay, and we'll rock out with that. We'll rock out with that, because there is objectively no way that the quarterback play can get much worse than what we're seeing from him right now. There's just not.
Is there not?
I don't think that there's that much room. And here's the thing. We're talking about exact opposites right now, right? Mm-hmm. The first segment, we talked about up-and-coming quarterbacks. We talked about Castellanos, who's a star to make it, having to do everything and doing it. Brother, you look fantabulous while doing it. We love the flow. We talk about Calandria, a guy that's having to do a little bit of everything for UVA. Same thing, freshman mistakes, pressing too hard, all that good stuff. Phil is the exact opposite. You're a 6-year guy who has some pieces around you. You're a 6-year guy who has an offense that was built so that all we need is a quarterback that can come in and kind of make this thing his own, and we'll be all right. And he's not doing it.
And I guess my biggest issue is we're trying those types of things in the NFL, right? It's the Brady effect, in the sense of, okay, you play for a team, you show success, halfway decent, clearly not of the same caliber, but you can just go to another place, reinvent the wheel, and boom, you're ready to go. You're not the problem, right? It's always somebody else, and you had to go somewhere else to prove your worthiness. Worked out for Brady. I don't know how many other quarterbacks it's worked out for. Not too many. There has been some success stories, especially at the collegiate level, but it ain't crazy happening. It ain't Oklahoma type energy before, Brett Venables came to the door. So,
I mean, the reality is a majority, or not a majority, but I remember I did a study on this a few years ago. and about, I want to say, somewhere between the third and a half of all starting quarterbacks in the NFL were quarterbacks who transferred during their time in college.
Mhm.
Naturally, the quarterback position is different than every other position. If you're a great defensive tackle, there are multiple defensive tackles on the field at one time in most schemes. And even if there isn't, you can move a great defensive tackle around and say, all right, you may not be exactly quick enough to play defensive end in the NFL. You can get away with it in college. Come on, let's do this. Micah Parsons, you could play him at 5-6 different positions at college. Quarterback, you can't put Quinn Ewers and CJ Stroud on the field at the same time. That's just not how it works. So these guys are having to leave a lot. But I'll tell you what, it doesn't matter where you go. If everywhere you go, you're going to be the same guy that is unaccountable for your mistakes. Looking at you, Phillip, talking about you're a grown-ass man booing me at the game. Phil, you're 23. You a grown man. So, that's just my thought there.
There you go. We're not going to spend not too much on Georgia Tech here because at the end of the day, we're trying to hold out faith. But that blowout loss to Ole Miss, I mean, you said they weren't going to win. I thought it'd be a little bit closer than it was, but, it's tough. You're making us look bad, Coach Key. That's all I'm saying. But not too much on the Yellow Jackets.
Can somebody play the Faith Evans song "Hopeful"? Because I feel like I want to see the end of this movie already, where it's like, hey, this team lost and got blew out, but they went on to have a wonderful season. I need to feel that energy because I want Key to do well so bad. I want him to do well so bad. And they keep scheduling these really, really tough games early. But I'll tell you what, Haynes King has looked phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't have the depth to hang with some of these teams that they've been playing with so far this season. Louisville, what happened? They wore down at the end of the game. Louisville took advantage because they had multiple guys who could do it. Ole Miss, what happened? They were hanging tough for a majority of the game. They were hanging tough. And then at the end of the game, the depth just isn't there. And boom, the floodgates open and you end up losing by, 24?
So we just need to remain patient.
Give Key some time. Because if you're expecting a head coach of a team that had not won more than 4 games in a full season with the last administration or with the last head coach in 4 or 5 years, if you're expecting him to come in and all of a sudden take this team to national championship, baby, stop watching so much TV. What Deion Sanders is doing at Colorado is a one-off. That's a one-off. You can't expect that out of everybody, nor should you even want it, in my opinion. Most places, you're better with the slow burn. And again, Deion is one of one. So,
yeah,
Key's getting it done on the slow burn. He's doing it on the recruiting trail. It's just right now they just don't have the horses in the stable.
Next on the list, Wake Forest is a hedge above Georgia Tech, doing what they need to do. I will rewatch that ODU Wake Forest game, and boy, a miracle. There's no way they should have won that game. No way they should have won that game.
Coach Clausen said he coming for his 15 one way or the other.
ODU
He said, I'm coming for He said he coming for it. He want his 15 every 2 years, one way or the other. We are consistent, baby. That's what we going to do. But with that being said, I 1,000% agree. They did everything they could to lose that game. It's just, again, ODU got ransacked by Power 5 schools this offseason. And
they pissed out their leg.
Yeah, they don't have ball players that are ready at the moment of truth. They don't have ball players that are ready to win a game at this moment. So, hey, Clausen, keep winning, and we'll move you up the list because there's another team that's coming up on this list that we weren't high on coming into this thing, but they just kept on winning. And we will not lie on you on this show. If you keep winning, we got to move you up, and that's just what we have here.
Let's talk about Syracuse, next team on the list in terms of ACC power rankings after week 3. The Syracuse Orangemen certainly have been winning 3-0. Garrett Schrader's looking good. ACC quarterback of the week. The loss of Arande Gadsden II is why Kenton had me put them so low. But, if they keep winning, let's ride it out. Oh, yeah. Call you to the carpet.
Why Kenton had you put them so low? Wow. That's very disrespectful.
You putting them below the next team feels a little biased.
Okay. All right. Well, Garrett Schrader, you're doing your thing, brother. You are out there. This is what the end result of having Castellanos do everything for the next few years could get you. Because I believe he had 4 rushing touchdowns in this last game? Like, that is That's insane. He's doing it all. Schrader is doing it all. And that is a team. They're going to need other guys to step up. They're going to need it. That's not a if, and, or but about it. They're going to need other guys to step up. But for the time being, they're letting the good times roll off of Schrader's legs and arm right now. So, more power to them. They got Army coming in, and I don't think that that's going to be the toughest challenge in the world for Syracuse, but you never know. You never know. When you play those service academies in that triple option, it can get a little hairy, even though Army is spreading it out more than they traditionally have. But that's another story for another time. But yeah, this is they could be for real. They could be for real. We'll find out these next couple weeks.
Athletic Brewing Company has completely changed that non-alcoholic beer game. They make non-alcoholic beers that actually taste good. Their brews are great tasting and award-winning and beat out full-strength beers in global competitions. They brew over 50 styles of craft, non-alcoholic beers, including IPAs, golden sours, and more. They're constantly releasing limited edition experimental styles to add in their variety. Make sure that you try this non-alcoholic beer. It's so great. No hangovers ever. You can find it in Athletic. You can find Athletic in-store, online, and in bars around the country. Just go to their website. First-time customers can use code LOCKEDON to get 15% off their first online order. That's code LOCKEDON at 15% off at athleticbrewing.com. Near beer, exclusions and conditions apply. Athletic Brewing Company is fit for all times. Kenton Gibbs and I talking through power rankings here. And NC State just a cut above Syracuse, arguing that for the sake of beating VMI badly, that they should still be in the mix of top teams. But, go ahead and make your case, and please do it quickly.
There is no case to say NC State belongs among the top teams in the conference. Middle of the pack, yeah, sure. I mean, that makes sense to me. They defensively have struggled this year, haven't shown to be the same defense that you believe they are from a year ago. Offensively, the freshmen are leading the charge. They have a bunch of freshmen that are showing up big time all over the place, and their young guys are kind of getting it done there. But all in all, I mean, them and Syracuse, if you put Syracuse in front of them, I'm not mad at it. I'm not like, oh my God, this is crazy.
Louisville next on the list. Louisville has done some pretty good things in a big, however you want to size it, beating Indiana. Some people say it's just Indiana, but a win is a win. However you slice it.
A win is a win. A win is a win against a good Power 5 team. I mean, what are we doing here? They got 2 wins over three wins over Power 5 teams so far this season, beating Georgia Tech, beating Cincinnati, who's now in the Big 12, and beating Indiana as well. Give them their guts now. I know
what game are you talking about, buddy?
Huh?
Beating Cincinnati.
Did they not play Cincinnati earlier?
No, they played Murray State.
Oh, I'm sorry. Murray State, not Cincinnati.
You think about the bowl game last year.
I lost the plot. You're absolutely right. But yeah, so I'll still give them their respect. This is a quality team that is climbing. They're slowly but surely climbing our power rankings because they're showing up and showing out. And again, their skill position guys are crazy good. Joe R. Jordan and that receiver they got as well, crazy good defensively. They've been showing out all year. They look good. They look good so far.
North Carolina at number 5 on the list. The Tar Heels were able to beat Minnesota. They are winning. They're figuring it out in ways. They looked better than they did against App State. And Minnesota, I would argue is better than App State. But, there's still a lot of questions that remain around the health of, can this offensive line sort of remain healthy? Can this defense figure it out and hold to what they have been doing more consistently in terms of not letting those big chunk plays get in the way and bringing other teams back in games? And then Drake May, I just need a little more consistency, my guy.
Absolutely. I mean, Drake May, you don't have to be Superman now. As you can see, you've got the Justice League with you, brother. You've got, these guys are tagged along and being phenomenal while doing it. Show up. Just show up. You don't need to press. You don't need to be Superman. We've talked about guys on this list that their offense is that bad they need to be Superman. You don't have to do that right now. You have to be good right now. You don't have to be world beating. So, right now they're undefeated. Top five. Moving on.
He reminds me a little bit of Sam Hartman last season, maybe a couple seasons ago, just really in his head, making like terrible interception mistakes that they don't have to make because you're trying to play hero ball a little too much. So hopefully he can get out of his head because like Sam Hartman this year is having a hell of a year and maybe he can just flow if he just relaxes just a little bit.
Probably.
Let's talk about Clemson. Will Shipley. Listen, CJ Spiller getting a little tussle on the sidelines. Everyone's frustrated, really intense, always want to be the best. And we talk about internal things with Clemson and how they want to stick to keeping everything in-house. And Dabo Swinney talked about the in-house conversations between CJ and Will and all of that jazz. But it just feels like Clemson is the run-of-the-mill team. And the fact that they're number 4 and they're not even considered to us right now a top 2 team in this league is crazy, considering they are the defending ACC champions, considering the type of run that they've had here in our conference, more importantly on the national stage, and they just seem like an average at best team.
Well, at the end of the day, Trevor Lawrence ain't walking through that door. DeAndre Hopkins ain't walking through there. Deshaun Watson, you got who you got right now. You got who you got right now, okay? Right. Dexter Lawrence ain't walking through the door. None of those guys are coming on through. So you got who you got, and that's all there is to it. That's all there is to it. They got to make the best out of this situation. And here's the thing. Us putting them at 4 is giving a lot of respect. That's giving a lot of respect because you've lost a conference game already. And mind you, you didn't just lose. That team made you tap out in a conference game to start the year. So being at 4, be happy. Go on and be happy with that.
I totally agree. Let's talk about Duke, who sits at number 3, and only because they beat a Clemson team and they're rocking and rolling after a good win against Northwestern. They've got a lot of tests in front of them, but right now I think you just have to stay positive in the fact that Duke is just doing what we know best.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Duke is a very physical team. They are very physical. And anybody who knows me knows as a player, I hated playing teams that were like, that they're going to run the ball at you downhill a ton. And that was just what the game was going to be. But now watching it as a commentator, it's phenomenal. It's great. Yeah. Anyway, seriously, though, Duke is physical. They're good up front on both sides of the ball. The perimeter leaves some questions to be asked because Jalen Calhoun was supposed to be the guy. He hasn't been the guy so far. But Duke has looked absolutely phenomenal on defense this year. They have looked wonderful. I cannot praise the job that Elko has done there enough. Please don't get 10 wins this year because then I'll have to pay the ever so lovely and talented Miss Cooper some more monies, which, I don't have none. So please stop. But with that being said, this is looking like a team that's primed and ready to compete for an ACC championship.
Agreed. Let's talk about Miami here at the number 2 spot. And Tyler Van Dyke is certainly one of these quarterbacks that you get excited about right now, having one hell of a start to the season, has more weapons than he had before, Restrepo doing his thing. And of course, you have defensive guys having to step up with the absence of Cam Kitchens. And I think Miami's just a team that not back, but certainly in a better place. And at this point, everyone is doing pretty damn good that you could wait between 2 and 6 and make a case for all of them.
Yeah, and I was just about to say, Miami is a clear sign of why I don't like to do power rankings before week 4, because I agree that this is a really, really good Miami team. This is a Miami team that could do something special this year. Absolutely. This is also a Miami team that things could go the other way and they could unravel quickly. But with that being said, the experience of TVD and Restrepo is showing. They are showing to be a dynamic 1-2 punch. And, this is a team that defensively, they have depth, they have talent. They have guys that are going to be playing on Sundays all over the place. Matt Lee, their new transfer center, has played well so far this season as well. This is a team that they've got the goods to get it done.
And let's talk about the number 1 team here, Florida State. I think that not for, lack of talent here amongst all of our lists, but sort of they're still winning. They're still the highest ranked team that we have here in the conference, and they're figuring out winning ugly. Not getting popped. They got popped in the mouth, but they responded. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's why we keep the Seminoles at 1.
Yeah, I don't think that there is really too much argument about the Seminoles being the top team right now. I mean, they look like a matchup nightmare for pretty much everybody in the conference. Because if you are to say, hey, my team matches up well with Florida State, you'd have to say something along the lines of, yes, we can check Keon Coleman and a 6'7" guy that runs a 4.4.
Right.
You'd have to say, yes, we can do those 2 things and we can stop the run for 4 quarters.
Right.
you'd have to say, oh, we can stop the run by your running backs and a quarterback that's mobile and can do it as well. However, Castellanos may have revealed a critical chink in the armor that is Florida State's otherwise stellar-looking defense. They struggled mightily every time he decided to use his feet, which kind of begs the question of what is going on, what's happening that a quarterback running is giving you all fits in that manner. It's not something that I don't know.
The guys are slow.
No, well, I don't think it's that. I think that foot speed wise, they have plenty, but I think that
they have shifty moves though.
I think that there's a little bit of the tension that having a running quarterback puts you under in terms of, okay, do I plaster to my man or do I potentially get to the quarterback and all that good stuff? So, we'll see. We'll see again, this is before week 4. So if this looks different in 5 weeks, I don't want anybody coming in here and victory lapping. Oh, I told you that Virginia Tech. Actually, if Virginia Tech is good, then you can victory lap us all day. But you get my point. I don't think anybody's going to be coming in here shouting and screaming. I don't want anybody coming in here shouting and screaming, oh, look, Louisville's still right there, because I've said before that Louisville is exactly what Brawley 003 said. They're Jack Plummer playing better away from being a phenomenal team. A phenomenal team. And so there are
calling him plumber as in like the plumber. Yeah, that's crazy.
Again, the boy ain't his daddy. That's Jack, not Jake. Ain't the same guy, okay? Not the same guy at all. And, there are multiple teams along those lines. NC State, what they got going on. You could say, hey, all they need is for Brennan Armstrong to play like a 6-year guy. Pitt and Phil Dracovic. All they need is for Phil to stop pointing the finger at everybody else but himself and take, Michael Jackson, look at the man in the mirror, ask him to change his ways, and then all of a sudden the Panthers are a different team as well. So, there are multiple teams here that have potential. We're not deep into the season yet to where we know what teams are in whole. So that's all there is here.
There's something about Phil that gives me he's that type of guy to have some introspection and like really be like, you know what, it's me. I'm gonna get better. I'm gonna do what I gotta do. Like that, he doesn't give that vibe to me. And maybe that's from Boston College days, but I don't know, the whole like, oh, grown man booing me. Like I don't think that he's ever gonna be that guy.
Phil, go home and listen to some Taylor Swift. The song is called Antihero. It's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. Go listen to that song. It'll hit home for you. It probably won't hit home, but it should, Phil, because you're the problem. It's you, brother. It's you.
It feels like Phil took your lunch money, and he probably took the fact that you have Pitt so high at the top of the season. You were really thinking that this team was going to be great. You look crazy a little bit.
He embarrassed me in front of all these people. And in the words of Shannon Sharp, I need my restitution. I was publicly embarrassed by Phil Dracovic. I bought Phil Dracovic stock, and everybody else shorted that thing, and everybody else making money but me. Brother,
what did Prime say? Your blessings don't stop his blessings and vice versa. So,
I disagree. Duke's blessings of winning double-digit games this year would absolutely stop my blessings for Carrington, Keegan, and a bunch of my nephews and nieces. I love all y'all. Cameron, all y'all. Listen. It'll stop a lot. So, dude, you know what I mean? I'm not saying don't win 10 games. I'm not saying throw the game. I'm just saying my nephews and nieces deserve Christmas gifts too.
And on that note, we hope you guys come back tomorrow. We have put week 3 to bed. We're focused on week 4. There's a lot of good games happening. We have to rally and tally and just make sure. One last thought, quick graphic of letting you know how we stand from a fans, he said, she said perspective and voting and all of that fun stuff. And we read some of your comments that you have very much put on our YouTube page. So we can't wait to unleash those. For Candace Cooper and Kenton Gibbs, we hope you have a great rest of your evening. Until next time.